it, and that's why in education, in everywhere, they started, organizing themselves. And Baba Saheb Ambedkar's writing and Baba Saheb Ambedkar's whole life also, and it helps so many people. But Adivasi people, even new generation, we don't understand. So many people don't understand about this caste system, because we started, late education also started very late. So that's why when we come out from our own system, sometimes we feel very blank, that we don't understand what kind of fight and what kind of things are going. It takes time to understand us, what is happening in all over the India, and how it is affecting Adivasi people are also, and how this plunder and this violence, everything is so connected. What this caste system is doing with Dalit people, same they are doing Adivasi people. So Adivasi people are understanding slowly, and now they are changing their strategy. And because Adivasi people have this strong history of resistance, so that's why this mainstream politics and mainstream people know they can win Adivasi people only when they divide, they go inside Adivasi people's area, they learn their language, they understand why they gather, so much, and they divide. So this kind of division politics, slowly Adivasi people are understanding. So now slowly we are using our education also, and now national and international connection also, but we are going very slow. So much damage have happened already in different kind of narrative, and so we are still understanding, and still we are trying to align, in national way or international way. Dalit people have understood, so very from beginning, because they have suffered so much in this system. And but now I think Adivasi people should learn from Dalit people also, and Dalit people also should come to collaborate with Adivasi people, because that different kind of parallel with different kind of opposite this caste system, only Adivasi people had this self-governance system. Dalit people have lost that, so they can understand after this all fighting, what kind of system, what kind of democratic system we want, and maybe in that way Adivasi people can show some path, or show some, that's why I think Adivasi and Dalit people should understand each other, and they should find some middle path to come together.
Speaking of, division or connection, I mean, this also leads me to another aspect in your poetry that we haven't mentioned, so far, and this is also for Annie online. So you write in Hindi.
Yeah.
So I know you are asked this question, systematically, but I still have to ask. So why Hindi? Why not your indigenous language, Koruk, for instance, among other, tribal languages you could have chosen to write in? What does Hindi give you that other languages do not give you? What compromise, if any, have you accepted to make? What have you accepted to lose? What is it that you gain? This language politics in your poetry is something crucial. So if you could speak a little about that, and I know Atreyee has another question about language as well, and I'm keeping an eye on the watch, because we do want to have some Q&A, and yes.
So.
And I have to say, we're skipping quite a few of the questions we had prepared, but this is actually going to be in written form as well, because this is going to be part of a decennial volume that we are preparing with Nicole Tiara. to celebrate, in fact, the more than 10 years of the network of Dalit and Adivasi literatures and performing arts. So this conversation is going to find its, written and published form. So there will be more questions and more detail as well. But about language and Hindi.
Yeah, so I would like to tell this, share this history also, that in West Simbhum area, in my area, Kuduk Adivasi people, initially they were speaking in Kuduk language, but there was so other people, those who were speaking in different language, and they were so close to, that area's king. So there was Biru Raja. So Adivasi people, when Adivasi people were speaking, when my community people were speaking, there is some word that is common word for daily work. They use some word, but in Hindi but same word in Hindi, it is abusive word. So because they were connected to Raja, so they said these Adivasi people in their language they abuse us, they abuse king. So stopped these people to speak their own language. So this Kuduk language in our area was banned tha. हाँ, it was banned from king, it was banned to speak. So that's why only like very few words I heard in childhood, and that's why like in my area people started losing this language. So they started, for conversation they started learning other language, like there is local dialect, there is Nagpuri, so but people have started speaking new dialect Sadri, and because Odisha is very near to our state, so they started speaking Odia also. And when we started having education, when we went to school, we learnt Hindi. And my parents also, they have, they were not speaking at home own language. But there was another part which is Jharkhand and Chhattisgarh border. In that area, that area, whole this Kuduk people speak, in original form Kuduk. So later I started writing in Hindi, but later I wanted to learn my own language also. So I started living in another part of Jharkhand area. So I could listen that language and I could understand, and I started reading, writing also, grammar and all. And I came to know, because though I write in Hindi, I have lived with community. So sometimes this community also, and community culture and their dialect and everything comes slightly in literature. So I write in Hindi, but there is so many local dialects, metaphor and their words. And I write in Hindi like a man, women both. So Hindi literature people, Hindi, they used to ask, we can't identify your gender, why you write like a man, woman, why you don't write like a woman? Because in Hindi there is karti hai, jati hai, it is for women. So when I started looking at my language and my style, why I write like that, and I came to know, because in Kuduk language, women have this power. This language gives power to women. We talk like a man and women both in Kuduk language. And that's why that style naturally was coming, though I'm writing in Hindi. And this information, this knowledge was new for Hindi speaking people. So I realized when we come and write from our community, it enrich, it is enriching Hindi language also and Hindi speaking people also, because they claim that they know everything, but within in India they don't know many things. So but it is very helpful for us, because at least Hindi, all over the India, Adivasi people understand. They know their own language, and then Hindi also they understand. So Hindi is helping us to connect with different community, and they share my poems and they talk about it, and so this language also bringing us closer and helping us to unite unite also. That is the benefit. So everywhere they have their own language, but they understand Hindi also. So while I am writing in Hindi, it is beneficial for different communities, Adivasi people also, and I can make mainstream people also understand, our perspective. If we will write only one in my language, or maybe then in conversation will happen only in our group. But because of this Hindi all over, the mainstream and all over the India also, I can have dialogue, and I can tell my perspective also, so to people. So in both way it is helpful for us.
Do you want to add something about the gender also in the language? I mean, although Jacinta has already, she has covered it. Do you want to add something in relation to that?
I don't know. Maybe
or in the Q&A, or
Jacinta's representation of women, or
right? If you
should we do that?
Sure.
Okay.
We should keep it short.
Yes.
And then I have maybe one last question, and then we'll have the Q&A.
There is just one question I would like to ask you about your representation of women, because it's very unique, and that is really intriguing for me. That is, we didn't really read the poem, but then usually what happens is in Jacinta's poetry, there is this idyllic representation of pastoral life. There is that night gently falling on a quiet village, all the images that you generally associate with indigenous life. Well, she paints those images, but behind those images there is always this implicit violence, the daily violence of the double labor of Adivasi women, and natural beauty is always interspersed with images of sweat and cough. So there is that jarring note of all of that in her poetry. I will just like to quote one line in one of her poems. She says, "Look what a sweet girl, the kind of girl everyone wants, who can wash the polluted vessels of the entire household." So you see, the ideal beauty of womanhood hides intense physical labor. So that is my question. Why do you choose to present women's labor in this wonderfully interesting way?
Yeah. So when mainstream see Adivasi people, they feel this. They saw us like, okay, women are so liberated. They are going market. They are so free, and because caste system doesn't allow women in this way, that much freedom caste system don't give. So when they see Adivasi people have in their system, women are so free, women are going, so maybe they romanticize that women are so freedom, women have more freedom. But I feel, yes, we have that freedom, but when we see our own Adivasi community, still resources and power, man holds all resources and that power also. So, but they are using women to save their society, to save their land. So every moment we'll see so many women are there in protest, in fight, and everywhere. But when we ask man within our community that women also need, land right, women also need resources, they says no, there is no rule, ancestors have no made any rule. So always they bring this ancestor, and sometimes it sounds for me like, as mainstream says, like God had decided. I feel same within my community, like ancestor has decided. So women we can't give land right to women because ancestor had decided. I have written one short story because of these things. Inside community, who holds power? Who and in which way? In the name of ancestor, or in the name of system, or in the name of society, who uses whose, who is holding all power. And I feel in the name of society, community, women are doing so much labor, not only in house, for society, to keep this, cultural thing also, language also, everything, and all power and all these resources and all power man hold. And now slowly we started asking question. It will not go this way. We have to sit and dialogue, and community has to change their way also. So yeah, these things are going. So many things are in my poem. I bring always that.
Well, speaking of poems, and before Professor moves us to our Q&A, I would just like to tell you guys that Jacinta's this question of the woman's question is the topic of her new book, which released this book fair. It's called Aurat Ka Ghar in Hindi, or Women's Home in English. It is still not translated into English. It's just in Hindi, but then it debunks the romanticized idea of the indigenous women in the form of short stories. So it is one of her first forays into short story writing. From poetry, she has now moved on into short story writing. Yeah. And this August, you're also going to release your new memoir, which is going to provide us with a history of the Orao tribal or indigenous community. So I mean, all of the new ways. I would say new forms of writing that Jacinta is experimenting with, not just poetry. I mean, today we celebrate her as a poet, but Jacinta has already published as a short story writer and soon as a memoir writer. So now we probably will move to our Q&A.
And in this resistance within this community, I decided to, hold some land in my name, which I can pass on women, and that's why in one village, a small land of peace, I bought, and then we are trying to, with crowdfunding, we are trying to make one small house where if some women writer who can come and stay and can think and can help Adivasi youth also. So in that kind of where women can collectively use that house and collective can grow together, that kind of space also how will create. So I'm trying to build that kind of house also. So it is all part of this within and outside, both resistance and to bring change also.
Exactly. And it's you're really traveling between the local and the global, obviously.
Yes.
So it's possible to contribute to that house, to that home, in fact. So I've left some flyers, and maybe I would have one last question in the shape of of a conclusion. I was saying we have been saying that you have published many poetry collections and of course other genres as well. You've received many awards. I forgot to mention that Forbes has included you in its list of 22, remarkable women in India as well. So on a more modest scale, the network for Dalit and Adivasi literatures and performing arts, that Nicole Tiara and I coordinate and have coordinated since, 2014, had invited you, in Paris in 2020. That was just before the COVID. And the people who were accompanying you and who were going back to India, they took the last flight back to India before everything was locked down. So that was March 2020, and then you were invited again to Nottingham as part of the CADALFEST festival. So how easy or how difficult has it been, in fact, to take the international stage into account without letting this disrupt your local and regional and national commitment and your writing? How does it help? How did it help? Or what obstacles has it created? So you have been journeying, in fact, with the network as well. So maybe you can say something about that as well, and we can conclude on that.
Yes.
And people online. If you have questions, comments, please use the chat, and I will, read that out for everyone.
So this, with this poetry and this dialogue, my international travel also, actually it is helping people in ground to get that confidence that now slowly we are getting, international platform, because it never happened before, especially with literature. Even in national level, we were unable to, speak with different state. Now with literature, we are having this dialogue with mainstream people, with national and international, and it is bringing so much changes and so much strength and confidence among Adivasi people, because earlier I think how to counter this strong narrative, people were feeling so helpless. And I think this kind of my journey and this kind of when people see, they feel like we are now connecting with other parts of, internationally, other parts of indigenous people's struggle also. So this gives one kind of strength, and youth are also, it is bringing so much hope also, that youth are also thinking, and many families are also thinking that through art, literature, and maybe this kind of, and film, theater, this kind of thing also can help Adivasi people. So now they are getting hope that, they can allow their new generation to explore not only government job, but can explore in different sector, through different way, how people can together can talk about indigeneity and Adivasiyat. So all artists, whether they are in films, whether they are in theater, whether they are in painter, they are or writer, they are doing their artist work also, and they are trying to understand now their roots also. So through their art, they want to bring this all these Adivasi issues wherever they are going. So that kind of changes is happening, and yeah. And I think especially this CADALFEST, this when first time we met with this, this CADALFEST, Adivasi, Dalit